tonight's guest is Meredith Thomas. So good evening, Meredith, and how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well, very good. I'm going to run through a few questions with you, Meredith, and
Hmm.
I hope you don't mind answering them, and then we'll talk a little bit about you after the questions.
Okay.
So, the first question is, if you were to encourage the younger generation, what would that be and why?
I would say there's a couple of things. First of all, the fastest way out of feeling sorry for yourself or feeling hopeless is to get out there and do something else for someone else. I think that it's become really easy just to focus on yourself and your own image. Through it doesn't help with the whole social media, and that can be really tricky. You can start
Hmm.
comparing yourself to other people, and it's just not great for men, I think. Young developing minds to get too sucked into that. So I would say when you find yourself in moments of that, use social media, which can be an amazing tool to get out and change the world, because basically you have the world at your hands to a certain degree. And then the other thing, just because it was just talked about a lot this week, is that we have got to pay attention to what's going on with climate change, and the
Right.
young people are going to be the ones that have to lead that,
Hmm.
because we've gotten ourselves into a terrible mess. And somehow we're going to have to let the young people know that they're going to have to step up and convince old folks that the change needed to happen yesterday,
Yes.
years ago.
Yes, correct.
um but it's easy to just throw your hands up when you think about what's happening there, um but then you think about the people that are going to be here long after
Right.
we're
And
gone, and what the world is going to look like for them. So get out there, find what you're passionate about, and make a change in the world.
oh, that's perfect. That's so great. And you're so, it's inspiring because climate change is real. Some people will deny it, but all they've got to do is go back in time and history and science, and it's all the evidence is there. Absolutely 100%.
Mhm.
Fantastic answer. Thank you.
Mhm.
So,
Of course.
and what has inspired you into this career that you are doing now?
Oh my goodness. I try to think back at when the inspiration first came, because I've been there. Did you see my cat's tail? My cat just got up back and hi, baby Hi, hon. I think back, and I don't remember like that first moment of where I knew I wanted to be an actor, where I knew I wanted to be on stage, I wanted to be in front of people. I don't remember, because it just feels like I always knew that was always a part of me.
Okay.
I was always a storyteller, and I always liked to make people laugh.
Ah,
I thought it was just I would watch people's reaction, and if I would know how to make people laugh, and I would make fun of myself, or I would misuse a word on purpose to make someone laugh.
ah,
um but I knew really early on. I knew in grade school that
yeah.
this is what I wanted to do, and I think a lot of people know they're early on, and then somehow they're convinced to go in another direction.
Right.
um all of us, most of us, are put in sports and or the arts when we're young, dance classes or judo or soccer. There, so many of us are encouraged to do all that extracurricular stuff, but then when it comes down to it, there's only a small portion that actually make their lives doing it.
Right.
And our parents, the adults, start to get scared. They want to feed that creativity, but then they go, oh, no, 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 wait a minute. that's going to be a really tough life. And they are right. It is a really tough life. But tough, well, so what inspires me now is that tough is never boring. So whenever you're challenged, it's hard to be bored when there's always the next challenge around the corner in this industry, or the next role that's going to challenge you. And then sometimes I just have to remind myself that how far I've come. For the most part, I love it. And I've come this far, and I don't think I'm going anywhere. I think I'm sticking it through, because I can't imagine being as happy doing anything else.
Oh, that's fantastic. As long as you're happy doing something, don't change and don't fix what's not broken, you know?
Right.
Is there any role that you've played in that you could identify with your own personality more than any others?
Wow, that's a hard question, because part of my process is to find things that I identify with in every role, is to bring myself to every role. So I find pieces of I find who I would be in that moment given those circumstances. Or for example, I don't know, if I play someone that would be perceived as a villain, I imagine what it would be like to have to do those choices, to be pushed against a wall and have to make those choices. Instead of judging the character, just try to imagine, can you imagine a world where this was the only choices they've had? But there's definitely, trying to think, and if I don't feel like it's totally me, I'll pull from someone I know. Like, oh, this feels like how my therapist would say this, or this feels like, so
something you identify with.
So I can't say that there's one that I'm like, oh, that's so me. I just go, okay, let me find what's real for me in these moments, because I have friends that'll look at me as a villain. They're like, I know you're a villain, but when I look at you, I just see that so Meredith, the way she says that, or the way she's having fun with this moment. It's so you. And that could seemingly be an insult. I think it's a compliment that they believe that moment, even though they know Meredith would never stab a person to death. They go, well, it was so you. You scared me. It was so real. You scared me that, like, I don't want to be around you with knives.
With that personality.
Yeah.
Well, that is a huge compliment when you can't tell someone's acting. That's the biggest compliment of all, I think.
Yeah.
When you can't even tell, it's like, gosh, she was horrible, or she was lovely,
It's tricky, because the more people know you really well, the people that know and love you know your every quirk. They know the way you say this word, and the way you flip your hair, or the way you look away when you're nervous, and they know all of that. So sometimes that's disarming to see, oh my gosh, that's so Meredith, but she's playing someone else, so sometimes it can be a little disarming I think especially for my parents, when they see some of the characters I play.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, did you see Meredith?
Yeah. My mom very much prefers my Christmas movies over my Lifetime thrillers, which I, often die in, or I'm getting tied up or killing someone else. So she'd rather watch me in the Christmas movies for sure.
Oh, you can't blame her though, because they are beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't help it. There's always tears, and there's a laugh, and it's Christmas, and they're family orientated, So I love the Christmas movies. They are one of my favorites too, I have to admit. So I love Lifetime movies. I will sit there and I have to have a box of tissues, because guaranteed there's going to be something that makes me bawl my eyes out.
Feels so
Every
good to
time.
cry.
It
That's what we're
is.
just giving you. We're just letting you. We're just giving you permission to feel those feelings. It feels good,
Yeah,
right?
because you can identify with it and you can empathize, or it's because lifetime is lifetime. It's
Right.
perfect. So thank you for answering that, Meredith.
Sure,
So
of course.
how has music influenced your life in any way?
Music.
Yes.
Oh my
Is that a
goodness.
good
Okay, so
influence?
yeah, so I have always been about words, and I think that makes sense as an actor,
Mm-hmm.
but the lyrics to songs,
Mm-hmm.
I love poetry, and I love lyrics that are, I mean, lyrics are essentially a poetry set to music.
Yeah.
And so I can get so lost in good lyrics. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a very, very eclectic musical taste, but um, my first, I would say, real concert ever was James Taylor. And
Cool.
I love that man. I mean, the stories he tells in his songs, and then not only the stories he tells in his song, he's a storyteller on stage. He's
Oh,
just
really?
so charismatic. And I love finding the meaning in the words.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it's interesting that you would ask that question, because my mother, I just talked to my mother about this today. So I get a message from my mother the other day, and she says to me, "Are you in Elton John's Tiny Dancer video?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom, I am." Yeah,
Oh,
you know
awesome.
that, right?
Really?
Like,
That's
how do you not know that? Like, that's such a big deal, and I'm like super proud of it. No, I
oh.
didn't know that. Her one of her friends has said, "I think your daughter's in this video," and she's like, "Is that you?" And I said, "Yes, of course it's me. How do you not know, Mom?" And I thought everyone knew that. And so I say there's a couple of things I never thought I would be at my age as an actor. At my age, that I would be like a scream queen, like the
Mm-hmm.
screaming, and then the other thing is, I was like, who would have thought I would be a video vixen at my age? But
Oh,
somehow I've been really, really lucky
yeah.
to get in some incredible music videos. And
Oh,
so
awesome.
yeah, so I music is such an influence. I think about the concerts I went to as a child. I think
Mm-hmm.
about being outside for the first time hearing James Taylor. I think about sitting at the Hollywood Bowl and listening to me. It is just
Yes.
um, it's and then many actors do this, where you'll use a certain song to remember a time in your life, and you use that song to trigger the memories so that you can get into the feelings of a certain character. So
Yeah.
that art form is absolutely, definitely. And then I should also tell you that I sang a lot growing up. I did a lot of musicals, so I didn't even talk about that. So my first professional show was Annie. So definitely
Oh,
music
really?
has been a absolutely strong influence in my life.
That's awesome. Did you ever work with
Yeah.
Craig Bierko? He did the Music Man. Craig Bierko.
Oh no, I didn't. I stopped doing I pretty much stopped doing musicals when I moved to LA, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a great dancer, honestly. So it's kind of okay to be the clumsy ingenue, but you can't really just start your career right as the lead in a musical. You kind of got to work your way up, and that usually means the chorus and means a lot of dancing. And honestly, I am not gifted as a dancer. So
Oh.
which is ironic, because I'd be in the Tiny Dancer video, and I do dance. Like, I do dance a little bit
Yeah.
freestyle, and that, like, I can feel the music and dance. But if you're trying to give me choreography, Oh my gosh, my body does not understand it.
That's okay. You've got plenty of talent in everything else. And you're so right about memory. Music holds a memory with everyone. Every song
Mhm.
or a lyric, we all go back to something. And when there's no words in a room or there's a bad atmosphere, you play a song and it will change the atmosphere of the
Hmm.
room just like that. So I
It's
love,
so true. It's
yeah.
so true.
Okay. What out of all the charities you can choose from, which one would you choose to advocate for and why?
Oh my goodness. I I've never like choosing a charity. It would be is kind of for me like choosing an acting style.
Okay.
I go with I go with like kind of where my heart leads at that any given moment. So I always say I'm kind of a cafeteria style actor. Like I will take this technique and bring it to this role, or this technique. I'll find my way into a character by this technique for this particular role. And um, I just kind of follow like what I follow where I'm led to give.
Yeah.
And that's changed so much for me over the years. Um, I I worked with disabled talent for a number of years, teaching theater for the blind, um,
Oh.
and that was amazing because we used the study of drama to really help deal with the trauma of having lost the sight. Because most of the people that I worked with, they weren't born blind, they were born with sight, and then some accident or some
Oh.
degenerative disease had
Mm-hmm.
they'd lost their sight. And so there's a lot of fear and anger and that would come along with that, obviously.
Right.
And so we'd use the study of drama. So, and that again, that wasn't like I hadn't said growing up, I would like to work with visually disabled people. It wasn't, it just happened that I could lend what I knew about drama to working with visually disabled people. So I did that for a number of years. We put on shows, and then it never really occurred to me that I was being a disability advocate. But then
Yeah.
years later, when I joined the Television Academy, I started meeting a lot more talent
Yeah.
with disabilities. And
Oh.
so from there, created this thing called FYC Independence, which we put underrepresented people together to screen their Emmy clips.
Yeah.
And that, and again, it just happened that I then met a bunch of talented people that also had disabilities.
Oh.
So I guess and as you know about me, I have a huge heart for animals.
Yes.
So I think, so I have a huge heart for animals, for
Oh, you're feeling it.
disabled, with children with disabilities is one of the projects that I'm very active in giving to and fundraising for. I have um, also, because I'm the president, or I'm the exalted ruler, which is the equivalent of the president of a local Elks Lodge here in the Valley in Los Angeles. And so through them, I'm able to really work and help fundraise for disabled children, and then also do a lot of fundraising for veterans. Um,
Oh.
so I have this eclectic, like, it just kind of where it leads me.
Yeah.
As I, my mom is a breast cancer survivor.
Oh. I'm sorry.
I have a friend that's fighting right now, so I'm doing a quote
Oh.
raffle for my friend Jody. And that, I just think there's so many opportunities to give. And
Yeah.
okay, now I'm led there. The fostering the dogs, I've always loved animals, like just
Right.
had loved animals, but I didn't start fostering dogs until a couple of years ago. And then
Okay.
I fell in love with that. And so
Oh. And how many have you fostered?
so 11
Oh,
since
wow.
11 since the pandemic hit. But I'm going to adopt 11. I just decided this week. Lucky number 11.
Are you? Oh. And
Yeah.
that's
I finally realized that I'm the best mom for her. I finally surrendered to the fact that that the best place for her to be is, she's had a rough 8 years. And I just want to give her the best rest of her life.
right.
And I finally was like, I think you're the one that's going to give it to her. Just accept that.
Is that is she the boxer mix? No.
No, the boxer mix passed away
Oh yeah.
a number of years ago. And then the pit bull American bulldog mix started out as a foster.
Yeah.
And Janie, and Janie's up there in heaven looking down, and I feel like she's the reason that 11 other dogs this pandemic got saved, essentially, because foster love. Mm-hmm. And because fostering does save these animals. So she's the reason. She was a foster fail. I fostered her and then I adopted her. So she is the reason that these 11 other dogs got a chance, because I just kind of, my love for her, and we lost her to cancer. So yeah. So Cher is
what a great
little name. She's a little pit bull, and she's 8 years old. She doesn't have any teeth left, pretty much. And she's got a little arthritic leg. And she's the cutest thing you ever laid eyes on.
Well, I've got a pit bull boxer. Zeus.
Yeah. Oh,
you heard him snoring.
So beautiful. Oh, my gosh. Looks like a mix.
He is.
Looks like a mix of my boxer and my pit bull mixes. Looks like if they had a baby.
He's white and brindle. And by the way, I know he's a year old now. He was only like this big when I adopted him. When they found him under an abandoned truck, 3 of them, and the other 2 looked more boxer than him, and he looked more pit bull. So I kept him because I thought I'm going to give him the chance in case nobody else does. So and now he follows me all around the house. So, but
my gosh, I love pits.
I know they're so. And when he snores and talks in his sleep, it's hilarious. He's like,
my God. Oh, what a cutie.
But talking of your quilt, I saw that on Twitter, because I went to your Twitter page and had a look, because I love Twitter. Social media is awesome. So I did read that about your cancer charities with breast cancer, and then the quilts. I read that on there. So I thought that was really nice that you were doing like an open raffle. Was you actually making the quilt or did you just buy them?
My mom. No, that's my mom. My mom made that quilt.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom is an amazing quilter. So I've done several of these quilt raffles. Lots of them. Done them for the veterans. I've done them. I have a dear friend who had an awful accident a few years ago and is now quadriplegic. So I did one for him. So any opportunity, and my her quilts are so beautiful, and I don't have children, and I'm going to inherit a fair amount of them. So I just want to share them. And then if we can share them, but also make money to help my friends when they're
sell them.
Yeah. So we do, so we're doing this raffle for Jody, and we're going to draw it on, what year are we? What month are we? August 30th. And my mother will be in town. My mother will be visiting me, so she'll be able to help me draw the raffle. And,
that would be awesome.
It'll be fun.
Because how do you feel about what has transpired since COVID? And do you ever see us turning to a normality or a new normality?
Wow, this is a hard one. Yeah. Let's start with the easy part. I don't think that life as we knew it pre-COVID will exist. It won't be ever. It will never go back to that life. And I think that's true of every industry. It's definitely shifted the way my industry is run, with so much more auditioning at home, auditioning via Zoom, taping, and then we see, with people working from home, that shifted, and that shift it'll go back. There'll be some changes, but that shift is permanent. We have seen we
How
have
it
seen
works.
what life, we've seen how it works. So I think prayerfully we will take what was good from this pandemic and carry that into what's to come.
Right.
The center, the less wastefulness, the centering of ourselves and what really is meaningful, and the connection with people. All of those things I hope that we take and make a better world from what we learned.
Absolutely.
But what's so disheartening is, have we handled it well? No. I mean, have we handled it? Has our country handled it better than some nations? Well, sure, of course. But given the resources that our country has compared to other countries, no, we haven't handled it well. And the sad thing is how politicized it has become. And
yeah, absolutely,
it's
100%.
And that's that is the sad and terrifying reality of it. So there's some areas that, we luckily live in California. And so I think that California, there's a lot that California got right. And I was saying to someone the other day, I just shudder to think how many thousands upon thousands of people more would be dead from California had we not had the lockdown, have we not had these measures in which some people are finding extreme. So the sad reality is watching it be politicized, and really it should be about science, and it should be a life and death. It should be about life and death. It is that clear. It is that clear. And so I don't know when it's ever, I don't know when I'll ever, it'll never be the same on sets again. I can't imagine it. I've shifted and changed, I don't know when I'll ever be as outgoing and out in the world as if I'll ever be that again. I you know what? I won't be. I'll never be as event after event after event, as touchy feely, as, go. As I once was. And maybe that's a great thing.
It is a good thing. Some things are a good thing. It slowed us down. It learned people how to be polite in the store. They kept their distance instead of rushing for that one tomato on the shelf. They hold back. My grandparents said that in the war, you didn't know if you were going to die the next day, so everyone smiled at each other. So a pandemic, it does bring a kind of unity, even though now it's bringing a division in certain areas. But yeah, at your worst, you can become your best in humanity, I think. So
yeah, it's very interesting. I'd never heard that expression before, or heard that put that way. But yeah, when you don't, what your grandfather said, when you don't know if you're going to be alive another day, you tend to,
well, the bombs, they were being bombed by Germany.
I get that. It makes perfect sense. And that's kind of what we were all doing, that we didn't know. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic saying, we are going to, every single one of us is going to know people that will die of this. Because so we kind of were in and sadly, we're still at war. And we shouldn't be at war. We should be at war with this virus. We should not be at war with each other. You know,
Amen.
that's the,
Amen.
so
You just said
that's
that perfectly.
the only battle.
Yeah.
You know, we should be fighting, and the sad, so it's very, we will get through it.
Yes.
Some of us won't, you know, we will get through it. Some of us won't get through it. But I just, like I said, the lessons, the good, I hope we carry this good into the world for a long time. I hope our memories are not short about what we all went through together.
I don't, well, it's going to go down in history, so I doubt it. So the Spanish flu did, and there's more technology and more communication now, so it will definitely be in the history books. And what will be in history books is how we cope with it, how we managed it, in case it ever happens in the future again. Thank you for answering that. You're very on point, just so you know. I think, anyway, you're very on point. Somebody else might not, but this isn't their interview.
Right.
Most of the people I've interviewed are the same way, actually, 90%.
And if they're not, they're never going to make it to air.
Is there anything that no one has asked you in an interview that you would have liked them to ask?
I offer up a lot.
Oh, really?
So I feel like I do. I feel like I don't hide a lot of who I am from people. So I've talked, I mean, I think something I probably don't talk about, but I'm very open to talk about, is my sobriety. And because that's not something that people, I mean, it's not a hidden thing, but you have to, you know, really follow me to know, I think, that my sobriety. So I've been, I'll be 9 years sober early February. So 8.5 years.
That's awesome. Well done.
Yeah. So
well done.
Thank you. So that's the best thing I've ever done for me. You know, that's just the best. I like to say it's the best decision from some of the worst that came out of some of my worst decisions of my life. So, so I think that I don't mind, you know, so maybe a little bit more of that.
While you're talking about your sobriety, you're encouraging others that are just nearly there but not quite to maybe do the same thing if they need to.
Yes, and that has happened, and well, there's something that one of my favorite expressions, and I carried into a lot of things. Like I carried into my work with the Elks, my work with charity, is principles, not personalities. And so if you live, you know, like, so if people come to you and say, oh, well, what makes you do that or live by these principles, then I like to talk about them. But you know, I got off track. What I actually was going to say is attraction. What I was going to say is attraction, not promotion. Attraction, not promotion. So I shouldn't have to promote, oh, I'm sober and da 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 da, and like it should just be, oh, your life seems to be working, tell me why, right? And then, oh, well, let me tell you, know, then, and I feel like that's important for charity and religion and all these things. Like, okay, if you're interested in how I got here, because you're seeing that my life seems to work, or you're attracted to the way my life seems to be going, then I'll tell you. But I don't want to promote sobriety for everyone. It's not for everyone. But if you're attracted to what you see, what it seems like I have, then, and you want to know more, oh yeah, I'll tell you how I got there and about the crazy years and what it's been like now. So I think maybe people, you know, they're not sure if you want to talk about that kind of stuff. So, and then, you know what, I don't get a lot of questions about sexism in Hollywood, and I don't get a lot of questions about, the Me Too movement. I could talk all on that too, but then it's,
Let's do that. Let's talk about the Me Too. Alyssa Milano is a great advocate for that too, and
Yes,
Rose McGowan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and now they put Harvey Weinstein, is it a word?
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. So
Yes.
well, a lot of people with Me Too were coming to me, and they'd say, "Oh, what's it like what it's been like in your industry since Me Too and all these things." And I said, well, I think you're mistaken that Me Too is only in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Like, yes, people are speaking out in that industry now, but this is not just in the movie and television industry. This is every woman that I've ever met has dealt with some form of from discriminate from her. I mean, on a small, from discrimination to harassment, all the way up to just, the horrible things that, and it's not a popular to say that there is a spectrum. Like, I think Matt Damon said there's kind of a spectrum. And as a woman, maybe it's safer for me to say there is there's getting a slap on the ass at the office. I'm not saying is very different than someone who rapes a child.
Right.
There's a huge different, and one of the issues that I had with the Me Too movement was putting it all into one hashtag, like simplifying it so much. Now I get that, because we have to have transparency. We have to, what the Me Too movement did is it made us talk about it. It made us face it. It made us safe to say, oh yes, that happened to me as well. Oh my God, I never told, to say that happened to me too. Oh my gosh, I've been carrying that. I thought I was the only one. So it's an important movement. It has to be talked about. And the shifts were wonderful, but they were friggin' painful, not just for the men. It was a painful time where you wake up every day to another story of abuse. And it was, it was really hard to come to terms with it and listen to it. And it was a painful time, because so many women, far too many women, and also men have experience of sexual abuse. And again, it's a very wide spectrum. So I think the movement was good, and that it got us talking about it. I think we continue to need to talk about it, but it's like racism. It is complex and layered and dark and awful, and the solution doesn't come, just with a hashtag and just we have a lot of work to do.
well, yes, I know it doesn't happen very often, but when the movement come along, there was just a couple that made false claims just for the money. Now they, like a woman that says she was raped, or a man that was saying he was raped and they weren't, that holds so much damage for the people that actually was, and then it comes out that they weren't, and then the person was innocent. That is so damaging to the people that are telling the truth.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is, and like the old story of crying wolf, so it's awful. And then it victimizes everyone.
Exactly.
Then you hear it all the time. You wonder why women don't come forward. But yeah, those, and I watched that happen too. I mean,
Right.
I watched people, men that I'd respected over the years and for their art or whatever, be, falsely accused, and but we had gotten to a breaking point
Mm-hmm.
where we had it had been tolerated or brushed under the carpet for so
Right. Yeah.
long
Yeah.
that everything was, everybody was willing to jump on it and believe women, and we should believe women, and we
Yes.
should believe, we should believe the people that are victimized, but it went to the other side, and there
Yeah.
was, like any movement,
Sorry. Mm-hmm.
and there was people that were left in the way. Like there were people that were on both sides that were damaged.
Well, hopefully it's shed light and deterrence for the ones that would do that, would behave that in such a diabolical manner, men or women, so they'll
Right.
think twice now about
Yeah.
about behaving in such a manner. Hopefully,
Right. Right.
with your Lifetime movie and your industry career, is there
Mm-hmm.
something that you've got in the near future that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah, I have a couple of ones that are coming out actually fairly soon, I believe. I have one, um, a new Lifetime one called Killer Profile. Um, and then I have a new Lifetime one
I've seen that on Twitter.
called, oh, you have, and then I have one called, we're pretty sure it's going to be called A Broken Mother. And I play just a very overbearing mother-in-law in that one. And
Really? That would be
yes, and
interesting.
yeah, it's fun. I just went and did some dialogue recording for it, and the director just said that it's coming out lovely, and that I was kind of the comic relief. Like I just went for it with this kind of
Right.
meddling mother-in-law. It was very fun to play. And
Yeah.
so both of these are mothers in these upcoming movies, and maybe I'm evil in both of them, or maybe I'm not, or maybe you have to watch and see.
Yes.
And and
No
then I
spoilers.
and I have and then I start a new one on Saturday. Um, and this one is really fun. It's the daughter directing of a director that I've worked with a couple of times. So it's really lovely to have a woman come in and direct that, because I actually haven't had a lot of female directors on these Lifetime movies. So it's actually really exciting
That's
that his daughter's
nice.
going to direct that one. So I start a new one, yeah, Saturday.
That's
So I
fantastic.
always say there's always something, there's always another Lifetime coming.
And do you work? Do you find that people that you work with, you get to work with them again, the same cast members? Or
Yeah,
does it
yes, I do. I work with a lot of the same people. I joke about like that this young man will tie me up in one movie, and then the next movie he's like marrying, helping save the wedding. And so it's really fun. So yeah, I do. I work I work with some people. I work over and over with. More so, I work with directors, like, which is
Right.
is lovely, because I have directors that I'll go back and continue to work with. Like I've done I think I counted 8 of the Wrong movies that Vivica A. Fox produces. And so I've got to be on camera with Vivica a lot. And I love my Wrong movies, or I love being in those. So I can tell you my favorite Wrong movies, which are the ones that I have a little bit of the meteor rolls in. So my first Wrong movie was The Wrong Crush.
Okay.
Played a distraught mom in that. It was great fun. Um, Great fun. It was sad, but
Yeah.
I love being emotional, because that's part of my
Me
job. So,
too.
and then the next one I did, the next one was the Wrong Boy Next Door. That was
Mhm.
awesome. And, and then I did recently for Valentine's Day last year, I did The Wrong Valentine.
Right.
And then I go in and I do cameos on like a bunch of others of them. But those are my I have a nice little cameo coming up in The Wrong Cheer Captain. I just went and did some dialogue for that.
Oh,
So that,
awesome.
I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming
Right.
at some point soon.
So look forward to that. And Meredith is on
Yeah,
Twitter, and you have a Facebook and an Instagram.
I do. So I'm at Meredith Actress on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm on Facebook as well. I think you can find me at Meredith Actress on Facebook as well.
You are a lovely, lovely lady, and the fact that you're for charities and dogs and you're a really lovely soul. It was really a joy to know. I can't wait to meet you on the 2nd of September if you're
Yes, on the
around.
2nd.
Meredith, thank you very much for coming on Chatbox with Sam. It's been a real pleasure talking with you, and I know the audience are going to love your interview. You're an amazing lady. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Good
You're
night.
welcome.